Nothing will wreck your day quicker than burning your car to the ground. We kind of came close just now. So we were just over at Kiwi's shooting a video. We finished up and jumped in the car, got on the interstate and started heading home. And we're driving along, everything's normal, and all of a sudden the car just cuts out. I gotta restart it, there's nobody home. I look at the alternator gauge. The alternator gauge is buried towards discharge, and now I'm starting to see smoke coming from, up in here. The car's on fire. I get over on the side of the road, got it stopped, got the hood open, and this is what I found. The Fusable Link. So, this is one of the most important parts of any of these vintage cars. This thing will keep your car from burning to the ground. That's its purpose. And you never hear anybody talk about it. If you screw around with wiring on these things, people talk about rewiring and putting new harnesses in, universal harnesses and everything. I never hear about the Fusable Link. And here's how this works. All of these vintage cars have them. Chryslers have them between the bulkhead connector and the starter solenoid, the starter relay. Sometimes they're right up on top of it when the relay is mounted next to the bulkhead connector. This one just runs into the harness. This is the lead for it right here. And then it plugs into the bulkhead connector right here. Okay. General Motors cars have them from the starter, the big lug on the starter, up into the main harness. And Fords have them on the starter relay. Fords generally have 2 or 3 of them. And they'll be mounted on the starter relay, and they'll go into the car. The way this works is the fuse box handles all of the minor circuits. You know, the tail lights and the dome light and the cigarette lighter and all little things. The inconsequential circuits. The Fusable Link protects the main circuitry of the car, the things that aren't protected by those circuits. On Chryslers like this one, the headlights are protected by this one Fusable Link, and the charging system of the car is protected by the Fusable Link. So what happens is, if there's a short in the headlights, if there's a short in the charging system, this thing will burn up. That's its job. I've seen guys rewire their cars and just run straight wire, not realizing that there's supposed to be a Fusable Link in there. This has happened to me a couple of times. These alternators will go without any indication whatsoever. They'll be fine. And then all of a sudden there's an internal short, something goes wrong inside of them, and poof, it'll bury that alternator gauge. It's a dead short. So what happened with this is we were driving along. Once I pulled this off, while things were still hot, I started looking stuff over, and I found that the main wire on the alternator was hot, very hot. So I ripped that off. I twisted the burned ends of this thing back together again, got it started, and we had enough battery power to get back here to the house. So that's the thing, that's it. If you're screwing around with these cars, know that you've got a Fusable Link in there. A lot of people don't know about it. It's there, it's important, you need it. Without this, this would have burned this car to the ground. Especially because on these cars, Chrysler specifically, the alternator gauge is live. The alternator gauge is actually part of the charging system of the car. So the wire goes from the alternator into the car, to the gauge, out of the gauge, to the bulkhead connector, to this wire, to the relay, to the battery. So it's one closed circuit. When you've got a dead short in that circuit, and it's not protected by something like a Fusable Link, there's nothing to keep the main harness from underneath the dashboard from going up in flames. And when that happens, you ain't putting it out. I don't care if you got a fire extinguisher or what, you're not going to put it out. You're going to lose your car. Seen it happen too many times. So that's it. This thing will save your car. Make sure you got one in there. See you tomorrow.